All right, welcome back to the channel. Disappointing statement out of Jermall Charlo's team, specifically Ronnie Shields. He says, no need to talk about a Demetrius Andrade fight that's not going to happen, because what do you get if you fight Demetrius Andrade? Got to tell you, man, I'm not happy about that, but let's talk about it in this video. All right, Jermall Charlo. If you listen to Ronnie Shields, his excellent trainer, a guy that I have a lot of respect for, actually met prior to his last fight, just in passing, seemed like a very, very nice guy. Obviously a world-class trainer, really knows what he's doing. Trainer of Erislandy Lara, trainer of F.A. Agagbe, trainer of Jermall Charlo, used to be the trainer of Jermall Charlo before Jermall Charlo changed over and went with Derek James, the trainer of Errol Spence Jr. Was listening to an interview that he did with Fight Hype, where he said, look, man, there's no need to talk about fights that ain't going to happen because, what do you get if you fight Demetrius Andrade? So, man, that was disappointing. That was really disappointing. I want to see that fight. I've wanted to see that fight for a long time. I understand where Ronnie Shields is coming from. I understand why he's coming from that viewpoint, and I can respect that. The background on it with Jermall Charlo, with the Charlos and Demetrius Andrade it's not a pretty one. I think really that Demetrius Andrade really screwed the pooch with that relationship there when he was supposed to fight Jermall Charlo. And I do believe at the time Jermall Charlo was still being trained by Ronnie Shields, where Jermall Charlo was supposed to fight Demetrius Andrade. Demetrius Andrade got an offer by Rock Nation, and basically was convinced to pull out of the fight with Jermall Charlo, and left Jermall Charlo just standing there without a fight and without a shot at a championship fight. That's just a really bad decision by Demetrius Andrade some years ago. But look, man, now we are where we are. Jermall Charlo was the WBC champion, the legitimate WBC champion. This franchise belt stuff that Charlo has and that Lomachenko has been skewered so much in the public, skewered so much in the press, that I don't think anybody's really respecting those titles, because it's not a title, it's a designation, and it's just approving them not fighting their mandatories, which is ridiculous. But regardless, Jermall Charlo has the WBC belt. Demetrius Andrade has the WBO belt. So those guys should fight, especially if the guys that have the WBA and the IBF refuses to fight them, that being Gennady Golovkin and Canelo Alvarez. They won't fight either Demetrius Andrade or Jermall Charlo. So the only unification fight that fans can get is a fight between Jermall Charlo and Demetrius Andrade. I guess you could also get a third fight between Gennady Golovkin and Canelo Alvarez, which I have a suspicion will happen eventually. After they've made some money fighting some other people and there's nowhere else to go, then that fight might happen. Or if Canelo Alvarez loses to Kovalev, it might turn around and happen soon. But regardless, as it concerns Jermall Charlo and Demetrius Andrade, man, look, that fight should happen. Let me comment specifically on what Ronnie Shields said, and why on one hand I understand what he's saying, because I understand who he is. When you're asking a question to a trainer, the trainer is going to answer the question based on what considerations are important for the trainer. For the manager, for the people that are actually on that team. They're going to come with the boxing is a business viewpoint. They're going to say the styles make fights, and the risk reward factor, all of that type of stuff, right, come into play. Also, there might be something connected to the WBO sanctioning body and versus the WBC and the PBC, whatever. But that is the viewpoint that Ronnie Shields is going to have, because Ronnie Shields is on the business side of boxing. So I can understand, and I would anticipate him saying that. And actually, the fact that he said it, I wouldn't anticipate him saying it. I would anticipate and think there's a good chance that he would believe it. But, you know, he might have not just actually come out and say it. But he actually came out and said it. I understand where he's coming from. But here's the thing. When you say, if you take the viewpoint as valid and you say, okay, what does Jermall Charlo get from fighting Demetrius Andrade? What does he get? The answer is he gets the WBO. If he fights him, he gets a chance to become the WBO champion, and he makes some money in a purse, right? And he's a unified champion. So now he has 2 championships. He's the only unified champion at the middleweight division, right? He's also has another really good, solid fighter win on his resume, some more money in his bank account. That's what he gets out of it, right? So the mentality could be, well, hey, man, he can get that somewhere else in the belts. That's not that important. But the problem with that is that if you apply that logic to Jermall Charlo, then it's very hard to make an argument for Canelo Alvarez to fight Jermall Charlo. Because the same argument that can be made about Jermall Charlo vis-a-vis Demetrius Andrade can also be made with the fight in relationship for the same point of view from Canelo Alvarez fighting Jermall Charlo or Gennady Golovkin fighting Jermall Charlo. What's in it for Gennady Golovkin? What's in it for Canelo Alvarez? Nothing more than what's in it for Jermall Charlo to fight Demetrius Andrade. And that's the problem. That's the problem with the argument. That's why I cannot, as a fan, I can't say that. That fight should happen. I'm not the biggest fan of Demetrius Andrade. I am a fan of Jermall Charlo. I think Jermall Charlo can beat anybody at 160 pounds, including Demetrius Andrade. But Demetrius Andrade ain't no soft touch. Demetrius Andrade is not a soft touch for anybody. With that southpaw style, how slick he is, how, you know, his extremely good head movement, and honestly, man, his natural as athleticism. His hand speed, just the fact that he does a lot of things in the ring. So it's not a soft touch. But I can't support the proposition from Jermall Charlo that he doesn't need to fight the guy. Even if there is the background history that went on between the two. Because I'm not going to accept that. I'm not going to accept that same proposition. I'm not going to accept that same proposition from. That's what Anthony Joshua and that's what Anthony Joshua did to Deontay Wilder, right? Well, you know, you need to get financially realistic. You know, I built all this up, and you know, who are you? You don't have a fan base. Raise your profile. All of that type of stuff was the nonsense that Eddie Hearn and Anthony Joshua were throwing at Deontay Wilder. That's the same stuff. That's the same stuff that Keith Thurman was throwing at Errol Spence Jr. and Danny Garcia was throwing at Errol Spence Jr. You know, hey, he's good. The young man's good. I see you, young buck. You know, just keep going, man. Get something, accomplish something. Yeah, man, it'll happen one day. It's like, man, come on, man. This is one step. I mean, you have that with the franchise champion. The WBC just did, in my opinion, the WBC did Jermall Charlo dirty by allowing Canelo Alvarez to have that shot. What they said was, hey, man, what's in it for us? For the WBC, we can get our sanctioning fees by not having you fight Canelo Alvarez. We'll give Canelo Alvarez this make-believe belt, and we're going to get good sanctioning fees on every fight that he fights, whether or not it could be. I don't know this for a fact, but could be that he gets those sanctioning fees for any fight that he gets, and they might have negotiated it down a little bit. All right, we'll take 1%. We'll take 1% of we'll take 1% of your $40 million. Right? Or we'll take a flat fee of $2 million per fight. So what would be in it? That would be the same amount of money that they would get for you fighting Jermall Charlo. And if Jermall Charlo lost, then they're out of their money. That's the same business decision that was used by the WBC, not just Canelo Alvarez and jumping out of the fight, or Gennady Golovkin and refusing to fight him, but the WBC by giving away that franchise belt. So you know, man, look, I'm a big fan of what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I'm not going to try to be a hypocrite with it, but that's me coming as a boxing fan. And I think from the boxing fans' perspective, we can ask what's in it for us. I know for sure what's in it for me if Jermall Charlo fights Demetrius Andrade. I get to see another very, very good fight. And quite honestly, although this year has not had a lot of mega fights, man, it's had a lot of really good fights. A lot of really good unification fights. We just had Josh Taylor, Regis Prograis, which is a very good unification fight, and this would be another one. Let me know what you think in the comments section, though, about what Ronnie Shields said. Man, let's exchange some comments, respectful comments in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.